Life's hardships had made me a hard-working man. My family included my wife Roxana and our 2 children. My parents lived in the village. For some time we had been searching for a proper house so that our children could get a good education and our life could become more peaceful. Living in the old neighborhood was full of problems. Water shortage, electricity issues, and the constant noise of the area would exhaust us. After many months of searching, we found an old but spacious house in Gulistani Jauhar. The price was reasonable and the house was large, with a wide garden and 4 rooms. The condition was a bit old, but we thought with some repairs it would become perfect for us. The first few weeks in the new house passed peacefully. The children loved the new place and we both were happy that after so many struggles, we finally found a good home. Roxana decorated the house and furnished it beautifully. But one day when I returned from work, the house felt strangely silent. Roxana told me that in the afternoon, a strange sound had suddenly echoed as if something heavy had fallen, and for a few moments the whole atmosphere of the house had changed. At first I laughed it off, thinking it must have been just the wind. But the next day the same thing happened again. Roxana began to feel that something unseen was present in the house. I tried to comfort her and said it was all just in our imagination. Yet somewhere deep inside I also started to feel uneasy. Every day I went to the office, the children went to school, and Roxana remained busy with housework. But one night I heard a strange sound in our room. It was like heavy footsteps on old wooden planks. I thought maybe the house was too old, that's why such noises were coming. But the sounds kept returning. And when Roxana mentioned them again, I started to doubt that something truly strange was happening. 2 or 3 months later, the atmosphere inside and outside the house became even stranger. The leaves of the trees in the garden would suddenly start shaking violently, even though there was no wind. Times it felt like someone else was inside the house with us. At night, strange whispers could be heard from the children's rooms, and Roxana herself felt the presence of an unknown shadow more than once. It was night. I had returned home quite late from the office. As usual, I watched a little TV and then went to bed. The moment I closed my eyes, I felt as if someone was present in my room. I quickly switched on the light, but the room was completely empty. I dismissed it as my imagination and tried to sleep again. But this time, whispers began echoing in my ears. It was as if someone was speaking very close to me. Suddenly, I felt that something was under my bed. My heartbeat grew faster. I quickly bent down to look, but there was nothing there. After that incident, I was convinced that there was definitely something strange in this house. I spoke to Roxana about it, but we both tried to convince ourselves that it might just be the result of mental stress. However, the very next night something happened that left no doubt we were not alone in this house. The night was silent. Roxana was busy in the kitchen when suddenly the water tap turned on by itself. Frightened, she called me. But when I rushed to the kitchen, the tap was closed and everything looked normal. First, these were just small things, but slowly they became more disturbing. One night when I returned late from work and entered the house, I immediately felt something unusual. All the lights in the lounge were off, though Roxana had told me she had left them on. When I switched them on, I noticed an old empty swing moving in the corner of the room. That swing was strange because we had never bought anything like it. As time passed, the situation worsened. One night, while I was in deep sleep, I suddenly felt as if someone was standing beside my head. When I opened my eyes, a blurred face was leaning over me. I tried to scream, but my voice was stuck in my throat. The blurred figure moved closer and closer, while I lay helpless. Just as it came near, my eyes snapped wide open and the figure vanished. But after it disappeared, an icy chill spread across the room. At that very moment, I heard Roxana's trembling voice calling out to me. "Javed, did you?" Roxana's trembling voice broke the silence. "Javed, did you see it? It was here." Her voice shook with fear. That night we kept every light in the room on and stayed awake together. But that was not the end. Strange things began to trouble me even in my sleep. Every night I saw terrifying dreams. In those dreams I wandered through an ancient, deserted graveyard, where the queen of the jinn was chasing me. The dreams were so vivid and horrifying that even after waking up, I could still feel their weight pressing on me. Whenever I woke from such a dream, I felt as though someone was standing close by, watching. But then came a night that pushed us beyond the limits of endurance. We were all sitting in the lounge when suddenly, the entire house went dark. Power cuts were common here, but this time it was different. In that heavy silence, it felt as though a shadowy being was circling us. Ruxana screamed, and my eyes turned to the corner of the room. There a tall black figure stood, its eyes glowing blood red. Slowly it began to move toward us. Our hearts pounded uncontrollably. It felt as if our bodies had frozen, unable to move. With each step the shadow took, a chilling wave spread through the air, like ice passing through our very bones. Ruxana's voice shook as she cried out, "Javed, do something. This creature will destroy us." But I was helpless. My arms and legs would not respond. Darkness clouded my vision, and suddenly strange images began flashing in my mind. I saw myself in some ancient place, perhaps a deserted forest, where terrifying beings surrounded me. Their eyes glowed crimson, just like the shadow now standing in our house. Ruxana's voice trembled as she cried out, "Javed, do something. This creature will kill us." But I was completely helpless. My arms and legs refused to move. A blur covered my vision, and suddenly strange images began flashing through my mind. I saw myself in some ancient, deserted forest, where horrifying creatures surrounded me. Their eyes glowed with the same crimson light as the jinn-like being now standing before us. Then the creature stopped right in front of us. For a moment, it felt as if it was staring directly at us, feeding on our fear. Suddenly, it began to rise a few feet above the ground, and a dark mist started to swirl around it. Slowly, that mist stretched out, wrapping itself around us, pulling us toward it. Ruxana began reciting prayers loudly, while the children cried in terror. In that moment, it felt as though we were being dragged into another time, another place. My breath grew heavy, the air thick, and everything around us began to blur. When my eyes opened again, I found myself in a small, suffocating room. The walls were smeared with bloodstains, and in the middle stood an old chair bound with chains. For a few moments, I could not understand if this was a dream or reality, but soon I realized it was real. In one corner of the room, a shadowy figure sat silently, then slowly began to move toward me. I tried to free myself, but my feet felt glued to the floor. The figure loomed closer, and I was utterly powerless. It began pulling me toward itself, whispering into my ears, "You cannot escape from here. Your life belongs to us." Those whispers echoed through my mind, shaking me to my very core. My heart pounded with unbearable fear. Then suddenly I heard Ruxana and the children screaming. Their voices echoed as if they were calling from far away. Gathering every ounce of strength within me, I jerked my body and forced myself to stand. The moment my eyes opened fully, I was back in the lounge again, where the demonic figure still loomed over us. Ruxana and the children were trembling with terror, their cries piercing the silence of the night.
The creature was now right before us. A foul stench poured from its body, like the rot of things thousands of years old. Its eyes carried a coldness so terrifying that none of us could dare to look directly at it. Suddenly, it began to laugh. Not a human laugh, but a twisted, bone-shaking sound. That laughter didn't just echo in our ears. It rang inside our very bones, tearing us apart from within. My vision blurred, the room spun, and my body felt lifeless. In that desperate moment, I remember the small prayer book my mother had once given me, still tucked inside my pocket. With trembling hands, I pulled it out and began to recite aloud. The moment the words of prayer filled the air, the creature let out a piercing scream, as though it was being burned alive. Its face twisted in rage, and it began to retreat. Ruxana quickly joined me, reciting prayers with all her strength. Even the children, trembling in fear, raised their voices alongside ours. Together, we prayed, and the jinn-like being slowly drifted away, its form pulling back into the darkness. Yet in its glowing red eyes, I could still see its intent to harm us. At last, when the final words of prayer left our lips, the creature vanished completely. A strange calm fell over the room, but it was not the peace of victory. It felt only like a temporary escape. We looked at one another, searching for answers in each other's eyes. The creature was gone for now, but deep down, we knew this was only the beginning. Without wasting another moment, we decided to leave the house that very night. We didn't even gather our belongings. Our only thought was to get as far away from that cursed place as possible. In the cover of darkness, we rushed out the door. But as soon as we stepped outside, a thunderous crash echoed behind us. We froze, turning back. And there it was, standing in the doorway. The same dark figure, its eyes glowing red once again, calling to us as if to say, "You cannot escape. Not from me." I shoved Roxana and the children toward the car. We slammed the door shut behind us, hearts pounding, knowing that no matter how far we ran, the shadow of that creature might still be following us. As soon as we got into the car, I turned the key in the ignition, but the engine refused to start. My heartbeat raced faster, and Roxana clutched my hands tightly in fear. I tried again, and this time the car roared to life. Without a second thought, we sped away from that cursed place. But even as we drove, the creature's laughter echoed behind us. That horrifying sound followed us, fading slowly with the distance, yet never leaving our hearts. The fear remained, carved deep inside our souls. We abandoned that house forever, yet its shadow still hangs over our lives. Even now, in our dreams, the creature returns. And sometimes, in the silence of the night, we feel as though it is searching for us again. That house still stands in Gulistan, Jauhar, empty, abandoned. No one dares to live there. And those who try are forced to face the same terrifying being that once hunted us.